All right. So good evening, everyone, and welcome to our accepted applicant event that is going to be focused on career development resources at Delaware Law School, as well as alumni perspectives from some of our wonderful recent alums who are joining us here tonight. Before we launch in tonight, I just want to go through a few things, a few kind of housekeeping items as you're all preparing for the fall. We are so looking forward to welcoming you all in the fall. I hope you are as excited as we are to have you join this community. And so as you're preparing, we know that we've sent you lots of information about, things we need from you as you prepare. I want to remind everybody that if you haven't already submitted your final transcript from your undergraduate institution, we will need that by August 1st. Certainly, if you have it now, please send it along. We also need immunization records. State regulations require that we have this information. So again, if you have those things, please send them to us. If we don't receive them, you will get email reminders from us. But if you have any questions about any of those things, please feel free to reach out. All of the information related to kind of what you need to do, checklist, next steps, should all be in your acceptance packet, but also posted on our orientation page of our website that you can check at any time. Highly recommend you bookmark that and visit it often. We do post information there that is important. Also want to encourage you to look at our accepted applicant page, which is actually linked right from the orientation page itself. We've got a lot of great other recordings from events just like this one that we hosted in the past. So if you weren't able to make those, or again, if you just want to review and revisit, there's a lot of great information from our faculty, our staff, and our students who joined us for those. And certainly there's going to be a lot of great information tonight. So I want to turn things over kind of to our guests. I'll let them introduce themselves. One quick thing too, I want to kind of tease our next event now that you're all here with us tonight. We are looking forward to having our Dean's Welcome Reception on Thursday, July 17th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on campus. So mark your calendars now. It is always a great event. This is something we do annually. The Dean welcomes all of the incoming students. We basically have a big party on campus, and it's a really great opportunity for you to get to know the Dean, for you to get to know each other, make some friends, make some connections. So again, save the date, please, for July 17th. Formal invitations are going to go out this week. You'll get emails, all kinds of stuff to remind you so that we make sure you don't miss that opportunity. So with all that said, I want to turn things over now to Dean Tanea McDonald. She is our Assistant Dean of Career Development, and she is going to kick us off with some great information about career development resources and opportunities here at Delaware Law School.
Thanks, Carly. Well, good evening, future lawyers. I'm so excited to meet all of you today. This is awesome. I can already feel your energy through the screen. When you get here and I present to you, because I try to meet with all the first year classes, I start every lecture I ever do with a breathing exercise. We won't do that tonight in the interest of time, but I will ask you as I'm pulling up my slides that you take one cleansing breath where on the inhale, you intentionally pull in good things. You hold that in there for a second, and on the exhale, you let go of everything that's not serving you well in the moment so that we can all get on the same accord to figure out what you can be doing now to set yourself up for success during law school. So my main purpose for driving to campus every day, and it's what I get up for in the morning, is helping our law students find meaningful legal experiences during law school. And I'm sure there's someone who's supporting you who just can't wait for you to get a job. So that's what we're here for. We have a team, and let's see, why aren't we moving forward? It's there we go. So this is our team now. I am Tanea McDonald. Lauren Damiano, who is also a graduate of the law school, sits in our office, and we are in the process of hiring a third member of our team. But we are available in person, online, and this is what we love to do. So I want you to think of law school as a 3 to 4 year exploration. Even if you know today what you think you want to do, where you want to practice, I ask for you to not get too laser focused on that and to be open to the exploration of law school. You don't know what you don't know. I went to law school thinking I wanted to practice in one area, and I did the complete opposite thing. And now I'm in academia and I love it. And I've been in academia for a number of years. I didn't go to law school for that. So explore, explore, explore through the summers, through different opportunities to network, and really get to know the breadth of the practice before you decide what you want to do. So, what can you be doing now? And that's why I'm here tonight, because actually, before you get to campus, before you get your ID card, there are things that you can start doing right now to set yourself up for job success. So, number one is I want you to either create or update your LinkedIn profile to reflect that you are a law student. So, as soon as you say, I am definitely going to Delaware Law School, that needs to be on your LinkedIn page. Recruiters, other people, attorneys, they look at LinkedIn every single day, and you want them to know exactly where you are as a law student. So make sure you do that. And next, I want you to start creating your legal resume, which is different from other business sectors. And so I'm just going to very quickly go through the sections of the legal resume. There are three sections. Your education section is first, your work experience or professional experience is second, and we suggest always ending your resume with a skills and interests section. This is where you show the employer the things that you enjoy doing outside of law school and outside of work. You would be surprised how many people get interviews because of a shared interest with the reader. So if you love to play tennis, read books, international travel, or cook, that's what you end your resume with, especially when you think about judicial internships. Judges have said this time and time again. They will have two resumes, equally qualified applicant. They will choose the one with the interest that they're either sharing with that person or one that they're interested in learning about. So we're going to take each section in turn, but this is how your resume should look. Number one, it is only one page. No matter how much experience you have, your legal resume at this juncture, entering the legal market, is only one page. The bots will not look at a page two. Recruiters will not look at a second page. So it's clean. It's a formula. So when we look at the education section, we're going in reverse chronological order, starting with where you are currently in school, which will be Widener University, Delaware Law School. And then any other degrees, educational experiences will come after that. Experience section. So I get this a lot from students that they'll say, I don't have any legal experience. What do I put on my resume? We will send this sample resume out to you with some examples. I will say this. Legal recruiters, judges love to see camp counselors. If you work for the YMCA, you are golden in most places. So, and they look for any role that you've had where you worked with the public. That could be working as a server in a restaurant, a bartender. You'd be surprised because what you're highlighting under experience are skills that you used in that job that are transferable and essential to the practice of law. So a law firm is like every other business you go to. Word of mouth, customer service, problem solving. Those are the skills that matter. And you can gather and employ those skills in other business sectors. So even if you've never touched a law firm, you don't know any lawyers at all, you still have something to put in your professional experience section. And we can help you with that. And the guide that we'll be emailing to you will give you some guidance there as well. So skills and interests, I talked about this already. Skills really is reserved for foreign language skills. So if you are proficient, near proficient in a foreign language, that's when you would include a skill. But everyone's got an interest outside of law school and work. If you don't, develop an interest before you draft your resume because it really matters. Employers love really smart students, but they like well-rounded people even more. And this is where you show more of who you are. All right, so these are symbols of matter. And I always like to throw this slide in because in law school, your grades really, really, really matter. And what grades matter? Really, it's your first semester of law school grades. They can somehow have a direct impact on the trajectory of your overall legal career. So you want to always focus on your studies and do what you have to do to make sure you are understanding the rules as presented, and that your writing is very clear. So do what you have to do to make sure that you are putting yourself in the best position possible with those first semester grades. Now, this is a timeline of what law school recruiting efforts will look like for you. So you will have an orientation, a general orientation. You're going to make sure that your LinkedIn is updated, and you're going to read and review the resume and cover letter guide that we're going to send. In September, we have a 1L mentoring program where our alums self-select themselves to mentor 1Ls. It's a fabulous program. You can choose a mentor by location or practice interest, but you'll get emails about that as well. Our department, career development, will come in and do a separate orientation so that as recruiting starts and legal recruiting or law school recruiting will begin in September, we want to make sure that you're well ahead of the curve. In October, we will be doing another resume and cover letter workshop. And then we have an online virtual program where you can begin to do mock interviews. All of this is extremely important because law school recruiting will start very soon after you get into law school. You see November there, review fellowship applications. You'll get emails from us about all of the fellowships in each state in the tri-state area where employers will just connect with a fellowship and you will apply through the fellowship for various opportunities. So all of these things will become crystal clear to you once you start, but this is a way for you to see what's coming down the pike so that you're not overwhelmed. During the December break, that is when you will be applying for first year summer opportunities. So, another thing that you want to do as soon as you say, I am a student at Delaware Law School, is you want to join your local bar association. Whatever state you're from or county you're from, there's a bar association in that area. You want to join as a student. Most of the registration fees are waived, but by joining that, you'll gain access to networking opportunities and other opportunities to get to know the attorneys in your area. So there's a task for you. We want you to start working on that legal resume post haste. And we want to provide you feedback on that resume so that when you get to law school, this work is already done. So when you get an email from us saying it's time for you to start applying, your documents are already together. So we're going to email you our resume and cover letter guide. And what you're going to do is use that guide to draft your resume. If you submit it to us by July 18th, we will get you feedback on your work before your first day of law school. You can email it to us at delawarelawcareers@widener.edu. But again, I am so excited for you. The world needs you. So join us at Delaware Law School. It will be a step in the right direction. You will be very pleased with your decision. And thank you again for having me.
Thank you so much, Dean McDonald. And I just realized I don't know if I introduced myself at the top because I, like Dean McDonald, am just so excited for this group to be here and for us to be talking about ways to prepare for the fall. So for those of you who haven't interacted with me yet, my name is Carly Gardner. I'm the Assistant Dean of Admissions. I'm joined here by another one of my colleagues from admissions, Eric Niskern. He's the Director of Recruitment and Diversity Enrollment Initiatives. Some of you have also worked with him. And so I hope that from Dean McDonald's presentation and certainly from this kind of event, you can tell that Delaware Law School is a place you're going to be supported. We're going to reach out and make sure we get you kind of where you want to be and where you need to be. And so I really appreciate your presentation, Dean McDonald, and I hope that that was all helpful for everyone to kind of get a better sense of the resources we have here and the support you're going to get when you come here. So with that, I want to now kind of switch gears slightly, although it is of course related. I want to hear from our recent grads who are on in this meeting now. And what we're going to do is I'm going to let them introduce themselves. I know that they have some words of wisdom and some perspectives they want to share with you, and then we'll kind of move into a Q&A section, and Q&A can be, about our CDO offerings. They can be directed to Dean McDonald, or they can be directed to any one of the alums that you're about to hear speak, and they're all fabulous with, again, wonderful perspectives and insights. If you want to start putting your questions in the chat, we'll hold off on them until we switch to Q&A, but we want to make sure you get all your questions answered. Again, I hope that you're getting a sense from us that we are here to help. And everyone here at Delaware Law School is committed to your success, answering your questions, and making sure you have everything you need. So with that, I think we'll get started with Shira Freeman. I'll let you introduce yourself and give us some perspective and guidance.
Great. Thanks so much, Carly. And hi, everyone. Shira. First of all, congratulations on your acceptance to law school. That within itself is a huge feat. So certainly be very proud of yourselves for that. Just to give you a little bit of background about me, I graduated from Widener University, Delaware Law School in May of 2023 as a regular division student. My current role is a little bit different than some of my peers. So I took the Delaware bar immediately after law school, which is rather typical. And then I started my practice at one of the big Delaware firms, doing corporate litigation and counseling down in Wilmington. And after that, I did that for a year. And then I'm currently a clerk in the Delaware Court of Chancery, for Senior Magistrate Molina. So it's becoming more typical to kind of go from private practice to being a clerk. I've noticed that some of the judges, both on my court and on other courts as well, have really had a preference for folks who have been in private practice or have worked at government entities or have some level of work experience before clerking. Particularly in the Court of Chancery, it's very rigorous work. It's tight deadlines, a lot of expedited cases. So having the knowledge and coming in with having had a good job under your belt before trying to clerk is certainly something that's appealing to the judges on the court. I specifically think that the experience at Delaware Law School that really helped set my resume apart from folks who were applying for the same positions as myself was my membership on the Delaware Journal of Corporate Law. It is a law review that really focuses on corporate law. And for those who may not be as familiar with Delaware, it is one of, if not the most prominent state that has a lot of corporations, LLCs, and other alternative entities that are incorporated or otherwise kind of plant their roots in the state. And for that reason, that is why the Court of Chancery in Delaware is so busy, because anytime that there is an issue related to one of those corporations or other entities, they're directly in the court. So having the Delaware Journal of Corporate Law give me the opportunity to start kind of understanding what it was to even know what corporate law was, let alone Delaware corporate law. Delaware has its own, it's called the Delaware General Corporation Law. So it has its own governing body of law. And it's really a gift to kind of know and understand it. And something that I've always found really interesting is that frequently attorneys that practice in other states, they'll oftentimes be what's called pro hoc into the Court of Chancery, so that folks practicing in other states have the ability to practice in the Court of Chancery. And I really think that being a member of the journal helped set me up for that success. I'm the judge that I'm working for now, Magistrate Molina. She's actually also a professor at Delaware Law School, and she teaches a legal writing course. And I'm not just saying this because she's my boss, but she really is one of the best legal writers that I have ever seen. So having the opportunity to work with her is just a dream come true. And the way that I actually kind of got into this role was that I had externed for her, and I received credit through the judicial externship program that Delaware Law School offers. Going into, it was my fall semester of my 3L year. I was just kind of poking around on LinkedIn, looking for different people that I thought I would want to reach out to, and I happened to come across her. Kind of a funny story is I didn't know that you were supposed to call a judge magistrate or vice chancellor, depending on their position. So I called her Ms. Molina, which is kind of a faux pas, but it worked out well. We had a lot of commonalities, and when she saw that I was a member of the journal, she had, we talked. We actually met on campus, is where she did my interview. And now, fast forward a couple of years, I have the ability to be her only clerk for this year, which has just been incredible. When it comes to career planning advice, I would say start thinking early about what your interests are. They can change. When I went into law school, I thought I wanted to be a family law attorney. That was the only thing. I kind of stuck my nose up at anything else. And then my 1L summer, I did a legal internship with Verizon's general counsel, and it really opened my eyes to the world of corporations and the way that businesses work. And from there, I started poking around, looking at other places, got involved with the journal, and realized that what I wanted to do was corporate litigation. And for me, that meant adding people on LinkedIn. There are a lot of scholars that are very interested in Delaware corporate law, and just connecting with folks and seeing what they were posting about the different cases that were coming out that they were raising issues with, or that they were saying, got it right. It gave me the understanding of what was, important in Delaware jurisprudence at the time. And I really think that has helped shape my career and where I plan to go in the future. And I wish as an incoming student that I had known that, everything is going to be okay. It feels like a lot. The world sometimes feels like it's crashing down on you. And it can be really scary and really difficult to do it. But I distinctly remember being in you all's shoes right now and hearing people talk about their success stories and where they were working. And I just thought to myself, like, oh, great, they've already got the good jobs. What am I going to do? But it will all work out, but you do have to put in the work and the time. But if you do, then good things will come out of it.
That is excellent, excellent advice, Shira. I so appreciate you sharing that with us. I want to turn to our next alum who's joining us, Nick Altapedi, to introduce himself and to share his kind of journey and experiences.
Thanks, Carly. Hi, everyone. I'm Nick. I graduated in, December of 2023. I know that sounds a little bit weird, but I was a part of the evening division. I worked full time at JP Morgan Chase while going through law school. So the way that it works on the evening division is you have the opportunity to take classes at night. So I got done in 3.5 years by taking classes throughout the summer and trying to get done a semester early. I currently work in I do private practice. I do personal injury, medical malpractice, trial work. So I'm taking depositions in all of our cases. I'm in mediations, and I actually just got out of my first trial a couple weeks ago in federal court. So it was a really good experience. An average day in practice for me looks like I work from 7 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock, and then afterwards. Now, I know that sounds a little bit scary, but I've started taking on my own cases. So I bring in the cases, I market myself. I work in a small family practice with my father, another lawyer who I've known since I was a kid, and then our secretary. So we're all a very tight-knit group. But what really helped me out with going to law school is my schedule now was nothing compared to what it was in law school. So law school really prepared me because I worked full time. I started back then at like 6:30 in the morning. I started working. And in the night division, I would get done at like 8, 10 o'clock at night. Now, I don't say that to scare anybody, but the best part about that was it really, for 3.5 years, set me up to be able to practice full time. And, what I would talk about the experiences of Delaware Law School is I think Dean McDonald really, really hit it right on the head with everything she spoke about because it's absolutely true. I actually did everything that she did, and it set me up for the future because when I first started, I thought I was staying at JP Morgan or we worked with external counsel. I thought maybe I would have went into corporate law, and then I ended up taking evidence and finding out I loved working with evidence, doing trial work, and it just so happened that my father did that. So, I really do credit Delaware Law School with the classes that they taught. Like, for example, the intense trial advocacy program. I knew how to try a case because I had gone through that. And then also pretrial methods is another course you can take. So going into it, I didn't have to learn everything on the spot. But also the skills that you'll develop, not just I'll say from working full time because I got to learn the business aspect of everything, but also the skills of being able to write, being able to read the law, be able to think on your feet. That's skills that you will develop throughout law school. And the career planning I would give, advice I would give is understand that it's going to change. Like I said, when I first started, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And the best thing that I'm happy about is I really put the time aside and put the work in because for 3.5 years, Sherry talked about it. You can think the sky is falling. And there were some days where I got 6 hours of sleep. But if not for that, I wouldn't have had the success. I graduated in December of 23. I took the Pennsylvania bar exam in February of 24, passed it. And then I took the Florida bar in July of 24 and passed it. And now, because of all this experience and all the work that had gone into it, I'm actually opening up my office in Palm Beach Gardens, Jupiter area. We're finalizing the details, but we're setting that up. So I would be lying if I said it wasn't hard, 100% worth it. And Delaware Law School will give you the tools that you will need to be able to succeed.
Thanks so much, Nick, and congratulations. That's awesome news, and well deserved. I want to now turn to our next alum, Sharuk Amra, to introduce herself and kind of share a little bit about her journey.
Thank you, Carly. Hi, everyone. My name is Sharuk Amra. Nice to see you all. Congratulations. This is definitely a step in the right direction, so you should all be very proud of yourselves. I graduated actually with Shira in 2023. I was in the regular division. I am currently an assistant district attorney at the Chester County DA's office, and I absolutely love it. I got to where I am now by interning at the same DA's office all throughout my law school career. So Shira and I believe Nick might as well, also had our first year of law school completely on Zoom. So my internship after 1L year was the first time I was doing something related to law school, related to my future career outside of my house, which was really nice. So I was an intern at the DA's office after the summer after my 1L year, and then I came back after my 2L year. And then once it was time for me to graduate and eventually take the bar, I was kind of like, are you guys going to hire me? Are you going to interview me? What's going on? So I loved it. It was amazing. And I am very happy where I am now. So an average day for me in practice. So I am a trial attorney. I'm assigned to a courtroom. The Chester County Courthouse has multiple courtrooms, multiple judges. There are 2 prosecutors assigned to each courtroom. So I'm assigned to a courtroom. It's a general crime courtroom. So I have a caseload of maybe 150 cases of various different crimes, from really serious crimes to the petty retail thefts. And those cases are all mine to handle, whether they go to trial, whether it ends up being a guilty plea, whether there are pretrial motions that need to be argued, research that needs to be done, writing that needs to be done. I kind of do it all. I actually, similar to Nick, just got out of my first trial. It was a 9-day white collar case, and it was miserable. I don't like white collar crimes, but I was a second chair on it, and it was honestly an amazing experience. And I think that a lot of the experiences that I had at Delaware Law set me up for success in my career now, especially being an intern. After my 2L year, I was actually a certified legal intern. So I was technically barred under a real attorney at the time, under their bar ID number, and I could actually go to court, supervise, handle my own cases at a very basic level. And a lot of the programs that I was involved with at Delaware Law School set me up for success. For example, I was in the Moot Court Honor Society. It's more of the appellate world, but the trial advocacy and oral advocacy portion of it definitely set me up for success. The legal methods class, brief writing, I wanted to be a trial attorney because I don't like writing, but sometimes I have to do it. And I would say legal methods definitely set me up for success in that regard as well. So a day in my life now, how does that compare to the expectations I had as a law student? Honestly, it's completely different than what I expected, but I think that the experiences that I had in law school that I talked about definitely set me up for success in giving me the tools to kind of handle the day-to-day stuff that I deal with now. I know that Dean McDonald mentioned the mentorship program. If you are interested in that, definitely take advantage of that because that was an amazing opportunity, an amazing program for me personally. I look back on my 1L year and I remember constantly being in contact with my mentor. She constantly gave me advice, put me in the right direction, and it was very beneficial. And the next year, or maybe my 3L year, I actually was able to be a mentor. So it's a very beneficial program. Take advantage of it if you can. Career planning advice. So I'm kind of, I had a different path maybe than Shira and Nick. I went to law school knowing I wanted to be a prosecutor. That was what I set out to do. That's what I knew I wanted to do. I knew that I didn't want to be a lawyer for any other reason. I just knew it. So I knew that after my 1L year, I was going to get an internship in a prosecutor's office, whether that was the attorney general's office or a local DA's office. I honestly kind of stumbled into the Chester County DA's office. I had another opportunity fall through and it just kind of fell on my lap. And it ended up being amazing because I'm basically working my dream job. I love it. I love the office, love the work. But moral of the story is that advice I would give to you is definitely keep an open mind, even if you have an idea of what you want to do going into law school. I knew I had an idea, but still I was keeping an open mind in the slight chance that it would change. But look into those internships. A lot of them are unpaid, which kind of sucks, but it's very beneficial to get that experience, put it on your resume, and it kind of makes you look more attractive to employers once you're graduating and taking the bar in the future. Um, and then just overall advice I would give, Shira and Nick definitely touched on it. It's not easy, right? It's not easy at all, but it definitely gets better. And I am a firm believer, and I believe that when I attended this event when I was entering into law school, one of the alum at that meeting said, "What is for you will not pass you as long as you do the work." And that stuck with me. And I remind myself of that almost every single day when I feel like the sky is falling. Because in this profession, it's kind of always going to feel like the sky is falling, but you just learn how to manage it better. You have the tools to kind of figure out how to deal with it. So I wish you all the best of luck. I'm excited for you. This is a very exciting journey. And just take it one day at a time.
Thanks so much, Sharuk. I think that's great advice. I'm gonna take that and store that away. Those words that you heard from an alum a few years ago. And I think what's so nice about this conversation and I hope that all the folks, all of our incoming students can hear and kind of feel is that, you know, when you're at Delaware Law School, we're going to make sure that you have opportunities to do things with safety nets, right? Get on your feet, get a chance to practice some of these skills so that you are ready to hit the ground running when you practice. You know, all three of our alums here on the call are relatively recent grads, and yet listen to all of the incredible experience, hands-on experience, things they're able to do that I think is unique. I don't think every recent graduate gets to do some of the work, you know, self-directed the way that all of these students have done. And it's certainly a testament to all of your hard work as well. But I think that's something that's a theme that I've kind of heard throughout. And I know certainly as an alum myself, I know that that is the case. You know, Delaware Law students are practice ready. And it's why you see, you know, these three successful people before you who've been able to do so much. And really, it's just a short amount of time. I think it speaks volumes about, you know, where you guys are going next. And I kind of can't wait to hear what's next for you all. But with that, I'm hoping at this point we can open it up for questions because I know there are a lot of folks on the call, and I'm sure you have a lot of questions, again, for Dean McDonald or for any of the alums. I do have some prepared questions of my own, you know, as part of the panel, but I'd much rather open it up to all of our students. So if anyone has questions, if you want to put them in the chat, or if you want to do, you know, raise hand function and we can call on people, or if you're comfortable, you know, you can just unmute and kind of jump in and direct your question. So at this point, I want to turn it over to you. Okay, go ahead, Eric.
There was a question in the chat that came up, I think, when Shira was talking that I wanted to pose. It was from a student who's interested in the Corporate Law Journal, and he asked, what advice you have in terms of approaching your 1L year to be prepared to join the journal. And I think maybe we could speak more generally about sort of honor societies in general, because I think Sharuk said you were on the moot court honor society. What kinds of things can you be doing in your 1L year to set you up so that you can take part in some of those things?
I can take this first. So focus on your writing course, particularly speaking to the journal. The most important thing that you do as a member of the journal or as a member of the Widener Law Review is your ability to write and your ability to decipher sometimes writing that you're like, wait, what is that supposed to say? And you're kind of the go-to person. So when it comes to the Blue Book, which you all will become very familiar with, it will become your best friend once you're a law school student, which is essentially the guide of legal citations. The two biggest areas where the students really come into play once they join the Journal of the Law Review as a new member, which you're not able to join at your first semester of law school. The intent is really to focus on your grades and to focus on becoming a law school student and understand how legal writing works. So I really would urge you, whether you have an interest in a Journal of the Law Review or not, it's really important to understand the Blue Book, to know what it is, to know how to do legal citations, because ultimately what it comes down to, if you don't grade on to one of the journals or law review, then you have to essentially you write like a 10-page or 15-page paper on a certain legal topic. And then there's also, at least for journal, when I was there, I implemented a Blue Book test essentially because that's, again, the crux of what you're doing is you're writing and you're checking legal citations and providing revisions and implementing revisions to other applicants from around the country, really, who want to be published in the Journal or the Law Review. So those are really the two key points where you can bring value, and having, getting an A in a legal methods course and being able to say, oh, I got the highest grade in my legal writing course, that is going to perk up some ears, because again, those are the two most important things that you would be doing. And I'll let Sharuk talk about moot court.
So as a 1L, you're actually kind of limited in the honor societies that you are able to join. Mostly because of what Shira talked about, the focus really is about academics, your grades, and like Dean McDonald said, those, your grades, especially in the first year, really matter because they're going to set you up for success. So moot court for me actually didn't come until my 2L year. I think the extent of what I was able to do as a 1L, I believe the Student Bar Association, I was a 1L representative. And I stayed on SBA throughout my law school career. And I think that was beneficial for me. And a lot of the tools I learned during that time, I use in my career now, especially the aspect of talking to people, talking to different people, learning how to talk to people that maybe aren't very happy with you, or people that need advice, things like that. So as far as moot court goes, that really didn't come until my 2L 3L year, but there are opportunities here and there that you can take advantage of as a 1L that are beneficial for the future.
I'll actually piggyback off of what Sharuk said. So I completely forgot to mention this, but the one place that I did at Delaware Law School was I was on trial. I was part of the trial team. So I know Professor Savith does a summation competition for 1Ls. And what that is he'll give you a fact pattern, and you'll actually get to present a closing argument in front of a panel full of teachers, volunteers, some maybe alumni that'll come back. But I know Professor Savith has, from when I was there, really built up the trial team, and he sends out 3 teams. It builds up to your 3 or 4L, to where he builds up teams. I was fortunate enough to be a part of it in Harrisburg, and we actually won the trial out there. I know there's a team that goes out to DC, and I believe the other team goes out to Pittsburgh. So for anybody who wants to practice just getting up, speaking in front of a group of people, I think the trial team summation is one of the best opportunities, especially as a 1L, to be able to do that.
Thank you, guys. So there are some good questions that are coming into the chat, so I'll throw them to you. First, Nick, just in case you didn't see it, there were a lot of people that offered you congratulations for your new venture opening your office. So I wanted to make sure you get your laurels for that. Somebody asked a great question about advice you can give on balancing your schoolwork with outside work, um, whether you're working part-time or full-time. Do you have any advice on how to balance all of that and make it work?
Oh, absolutely. So the first thing that I did was I had a conversation with my boss at JP Morgan. Now, I was fortunate enough to where I had a very close relationship with my boss, and I said, I'm going to law school. How can we make this work? So, the deal that we were able to come to was I started working. Had to go. Now it's different because I only had to go to the office 2 days a week. So it helped me out a little bit, but I would start working at 6:30 in the morning and I would get done around 3 o'clock in the afternoon to get my 8 hours in. I worked about 20 minutes away from school, so I would just hop right on 95, go down to school, and I would use that time we would usually start class around 6:30, so I would eat an early dinner. And then what I would do is I would get reading in or any type of schoolwork that had to get done within that time period. And then I would have class from either 6:30 to 8:30 or 6:30 to 10:30, and I would get home late. So my best advice is have a talk with your boss or whoever you're working for. Say I want to go to law school full time. I'm going to law school part time. Uh, I would let how can we make this work? Or if you're gonna have to work from 9 to 5, you can work. You may have to get up a little bit earlier to get some work done. But my weekends were mainly used Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to get work done. So, there is a way to balance it. It's going to feel odd at first, but as you get into it and you keep doing it, you're going to get much more comfortable with it. And I also think one last thing I'll say is have the expectation of, I don't know if anybody goes out at all, but have the expectation that you are going to have to move some things around. For example, like I used to, go out a little bit. I couldn't go out as much anymore. I was home working, I was home studying. Now, that's not to say I never went out, but understand that when you have a midterm or a final or you have work to do, that work is going to come first. So, my advice is talk to your boss, plan out a schedule, and also make some time for yourself, whatever it is that you like to do. But I think having a plan beforehand before you come to law school will make it so much easier on yourself.
Like to chime in as well on that one. I used to teach in an evening program, and I'll say that evening students are superheroes. I prefer teaching in the evening program because those students came in prepared, ready, and eager to learn. And so, you have to have balance in your life, whether you're in the day program or the evening program. You have to take care of yourself. But in addition to what Nick said about talking to your employer, if you have a family, you need to have a sit down talk with them as well. It is going to impact every aspect of your life. And so the more you can get your employer, your family on board, and you'll have to recheck in with that family every year to level set for the year to come, it will give you the space that you need to receive all of this information, kind of store it, and then get it back out for your exams and any dues. But I always tip my hat to evening students because it's a Herculean effort that they all do extremely well. So if you are going to be one of those people, you're joining like the Marvel universe because you will become a superhero and you will be stretched in ways that you didn't know you could be.
Very true. There's another question, maybe for Nick, but also Sharuk might be able to chime in because you had mentioned you were on SBA, but somebody asked about the availability of extracurricular activities, particularly for part-time students. Do you want to chime in on that, Nick? And then
Yeah,
Sharuk, if you have anything you want
so
to offer.
from my understanding, all of the extracurriculars are available to evening division students as well. I had a couple of friends who are also now trial lawyers who were a part of moot court. Some of them were on the SBA, some of them were on I think it was Law Journal or Law Review. I forget which one it was, but all of the extracurriculars that are available to the daytime students are also available to the nighttime students. Now, what I would recommend is understand that you're not going to be able to do as much. If you work full time, you're not going to be able to do as much. So, what I did was I really had to look into it and see which one that I wanted to do. And as I said previously, I wanted to be, after my first year, I knew I wanted to do trial work. So for me, it was mainly just do that. But to answer the question head on, from my understanding, it should all be available. So, I believe Delaware Law does have a list of all the extracurriculars, SPA, moot court, trial team. I would just take a look at that and go through it and see which ones you might be interested in.
Thank you. Sharuk, did you want to add anything from the perspective of the SBA?
I think in terms of responsibilities and scheduling, Nick can obviously speak to that way more than I can, being an evening division student. As far as being a 1L representative, my 1L year, because you are a 1L and because there are those considerations considering the academics should really come first, I didn't have many responsibilities as a 1L representative. It was kind of a way for me to get my foot in the door for SBA. Once my 1L year was over, I could kind of matriculate to a more official position. It was more so just being kind of in the loop with SBA, understanding the different events that were happening around campus. But honestly, I don't remember it being very time consuming at all. It was beneficial for the most part because it helped me get my foot in the door for the most part.
Thank you. Somebody asked about a typical schedule for part-time students. I did put a link in the chat to our website that has sample schedules for both full-time and part-time, so you can get a sense of what it looks like. And those schedules are pretty close to what you can expect for this fall. Somebody had a great question though, and I don't know if any of our, I call you students, but you're attorneys now, can speak to this, but somebody wanted to know whether any of you were parents while you were in law school, or maybe you knew you had classmates or friends that were parents and how they sort of managed it and what kind of support the law school was able to provide to them.
One of my best friends was a parent and one full-time. His name was Jesus Frazado. I'll tell you about Jesus' story. He worked full-time at Merck, and he has two children and his family. Now, the one thing I would say is that was beneficial to Jesus was from talking to him, he always worked with the professors. And, because he was a parent, and D. McDonald hit it right on the head. I don't know how people who were parents worked full time and also raised a family and be able to manage it all. God bless them. If you're a parent being able to do this, you literally are a superhero. What he did was he would talk to, I know there's a policy in terms of having to show up, but if you talk to the teachers, they will work with you. We had a couple of mothers in my division as well who also worked with the professors, worked with the school, and the school will work with you. So it's really just comes down to talking to the school, and they will work with you. That's what I've seen, and that was from what I've been told. But yeah, it absolutely is manageable. Parents do it all. Parents, there were quite a few parents in my division I can speak to, and from my understanding, I believe basically almost all of them graduated, like pretty well too, and they were phenomenal to know, and obviously within the future. They've been great. I still stay connected to my buddy Jesus, and he's doing phenomenal with it. So work with the school, work with the teachers. They will help you.
And if I can just add to build on Nick's point, everyone here at Delaware Law School, as I kind of said at the top of this, we are here for you. We are student-centered. We want to help you get across that finish line, pass the bar, and be successful. And our faculty are some of the most accessible, approachable, super friendly, actually super fun when they come to, all these extracurricular events we're talking about. But they're here as a resource for you, not only, in class and to teach you the law, sometimes to help you get jobs and network, but they're also here to work with you. They know you're a whole person. So I think as Nick said, from his kind of experience with his friends, get out ahead of any issues you see coming, go to your professors. They're all great people. And again, they're here to kind of help you kind of as they can. So keep lines of communication open, keep in touch with, any staff or administrators, that you need to. And I think that goes a long way to help you be successful.
Thank you. There was a question, and Shira actually privately answered it to me. So I'm going to ask Shira to respond. There was a student who asked about his interest in IP law and what we can, and maybe Dean McDonald may have some advice as well. But I'll read his question so that I get it correct. He said, for someone interested in pursuing IP law, are there resources where I can learn the subject since the coursework is not directly offered? Has there been any alumni who have practiced in the space From what I understand, I can self-study my 2L year and take the bar exam prior to graduating. Shira, do you want to offer what you shared with me?
Yes, thanks for throwing me on the spot there. No, so
It was a great
I'm currently
answer.
not I'm not learned in intellectual property or patent law or anything of the like, but one of my best friends who is also a fellow Delaware Law School graduate, currently practices in the federal court section at Young Conaway, Stargate and Taylor, which is one of the big Delaware firms. So he's certainly a learned person that I would be happy to connect folks with who have interest in that sphere. But the reason that I messaged Eric was because I know that there's an intro to intellectual property course that I believe is not offered until you are a 2L or above, because they really want you to focus on your doctrinal courses in your first year, which is contracts, property, legal writing, things along those lines, the courses where there's legal doctrines. But the professor who, to my knowledge, taught it and who I took for a contracts class, his name is Mark Kohler, Professor Kohler. He has no idea that I'm about to recommend this, but if you really have an interest in IP, he is someone who I really respect, not only in the intellectual property field, but also just as a professor and as somebody who's always eager to take on and mentor students. In the contracts negotiation course that I took with him, he still now, years later, reaches out to me and a couple of my peers asking us to get involved with his class and speak about certain things and get involved in some of the negotiations that he has kind of that he handles. So he does not know that I'm recommending this, so I apologize to him in advance if he does not appreciate this. But my understanding is that he's always happy to mentor and chat with students. If not, and if he doesn't know the answer, then my understanding is he'll be happy to connect you with people. But being interested in intellectual property is certainly something that's a little bit more unique. So having a professional in the field and a professional from Delaware Law School who is really learned in that sphere, I think is a gift. And I would certainly recommend at least connecting with him on LinkedIn. And I will, bear the badge. You can tell him that I sent him, that I sent you his way. And, hopefully that was okay with him.
Thank you, Shira. There's
I
a
can
lot of
chime in
great.
as well
Oh, sure,
about
please.
patent and IP law. There's a national patent program that Delaware law students can apply to in their 2L year. When I gave the roadmap and I said, look out for fellowship application openings, that would be one of them that you would receive in an email from Delaware Law Careers or the Career Development Office. Every year we get about 2 or 3 students who apply. It's an amazing program that is squarely focused on patent law and the patent bar. And so you would just be on the lookout for that in your 2L year.
Great, thank you. There were a couple of questions that I can quickly answer, and then there's a couple more for our alumni. Somebody asked about financial assistance for living expenses, so beyond tuition. You can apply for financial aid to cover more than just tuition. You can use financial aid to cover things like rent, books, food, things like that. I'll put in the chat the email address for the financial aid office. You can actually contact them directly, and they can walk you through the process of how to apply for that assistance. Somebody also asked about when our schedule's created and how does that happen. The good news is we do that for you in your first year, so you don't have to do anything to have a schedule for your first year of law school. And I believe the registrar's office is actually creating those probably sometime next week or the week after. So within the next few weeks, you'll be able to get access to your fall schedules through your My Widener account. So if you have not set up your My Widener accounts yet, you want to do that as soon as possible. Not only will you get your fall schedule there, but that's also where you'll get things like your financial aid award letter, your tuition bill, and at some point in the future, that's also where you'll go to get your grades. So I wanted to quickly just answer those questions. But there was a question
And
that came in.
real quick, Eric, just to piggyback,
Yeah,
because there's someone about when can you start purchasing law school books?
yeah.
It would be when you get those schedules, and so usually it's July, and so look out for those. But we make sure to communicate to you when things are kind of out there. And certainly, like I mentioned, please bookmark our orientation page. We post lots of great information there about when things are available, when things are coming. So I hope that piece of information helps as well.
Thank you. Somebody asked a question about they're interested in corporate law and they're wondering in terms of the route to get into the practice, do you recommend working for a law firm first, then going into a clerkship, or vice versa? Advice that you may have for people who are looking to pursue a career in corporate law.
I assume this is directed at me.
I think so,
So,
yes.
so I think particularly if you are, you know that you're interested in corporate law, specifically Delaware corporate law, I do draw that distinction because, like I mentioned earlier, there really is a uniqueness in both the Court of Chancery, the Delaware General Corporation Law, and just the practice in Delaware in general. If you know that that's what you want to do and you really have a strong interest in the Court of Chancery, if that's where you would like to clerk, it is the preeminent business court, arguably in the United States. So it's really a great honor to be able to be a part of the court. So I would encourage you to really, like I said, start adding people on LinkedIn, really start getting your name out there, start familiarizing yourself with the cases, identifying what issues the court sees issues with and kind of what they're opining on. And that kind of gives you that free way to be able to, reach out to attorneys in practice. And like I said, message them on LinkedIn. I have gotten messages numerous times from potential students at this law school, potential students at other law schools, folks who are interested in clerking in the Court of Chancery, people who saw that I did an internship at Verizon and they just want to, get to know me, get to know how I got to where I am. So don't be afraid to do that. I think that I have colleagues now on the court that are like me, where they had, a year in private practice and now they've become a clerk. I have colleagues who went straight through from law school to clerking, and there's actually someone I know of who was in private practice for 7 years, and now she's a clerk on the court. So it really depends, and I think that is all to say that there is no one path. It's a different path for everybody, and what worked for me might not be what works for the next person, but ultimately you'll kind of find your way. But I would certainly recommend, particularly to the Court of Chancery, if you're interested in getting involved there. I would, start building your roots early, start reaching out to clerks, kind of talking about what opportunities there are for internships, for clerkships. One of the awesome things about Delaware Law School is that it's the only law school that has what's called the Wolcott Fellowship, and that's an opportunity for law school students to be paired with either a Supreme Court of Delaware justice or now a member of the Court of Chancery. So that can be with my boss, Magistrate Molina. It can be with Chancellor McCormick, Vice Chancellor Laster. There are so many incredible jurists, both on the Delaware Supreme Court as well as the Court of Chancery. And that is the only law school that partners with both of those courts to be able to have those opportunities for students. And it's offered in your 3L year, but you can really start connecting with current Wolcott fellows, current interns, and kind of talking to them about how they got their position. I will caution you that the Court of Chancery hires out very far in advance, and a lot of courts now are so as well. So if that's something that you're interested in, I would certainly recommend checking out the website. Really for any court that you might be interested in, a lot of times they'll hire out 18 months, 24 months in advance because it is such a hot commodity and everyone wants to, be a clerk or an intern for a jurist. So that's kind of what I would recommend.
Great, thank you. So we're getting a few questions in all related to the bar exam. So somebody asked about if you're planning to take multiple bar exams, what does the planning for that look like? So any advice on preparing to take the bar exam?
So I can say what I did. So one of the things I also loved about Delaware Law School is they have a partnership with Themis where you can take bar exam courses through Themis. So it was like two different sessions, one in the fall, one in the spring, and I actually used Themis for my bar prep. So the way that I did it was I essentially started preparing for the Pennsylvania bar a year prior. And when it came to Delaware Law, I took those exams and the videos very seriously because those are the exact notes that I used on the Pennsylvania bar exam. So I started prepping, I would say about a year out with those courses. And then also if you use Themis, you can call them up and then just ask them, hey, like I work full time. Can you open it up for me? And they're very accommodating. So I essentially had all my outlines done prior to that. So I knew everything before that. And then in the summer, my prep was a little bit different because I also got married in 2020 in September of 24. So it was right. I took the Florida bar right before that. But the one thing good about Florida was if you got a 136 on your MBE, it waived in. So I only had to go for one day to take the Florida law. And that was my whole, I knew a year out that I was going to take the Florida bar exam. So I prepped to really not just pass it, but to really excel in the bar exam because I only had to go to Florida for one day. And a lot of it is similar. There's distinctions, I'll say, with Florida, but a lot of it was the same with the few exceptions of some law down there, but that really helped prep me for it. And then I thought about doing Delaware, but it wouldn't be enough business. And quite honestly, I think my wife would have killed me if I did a third one. So, but really, it comes down to the planning of it. It is doable. It can be done, but I really would prep out a while because it was a lot easier for me to study for Florida because I had to relearn all the information I already did for the first bar, plus just have to learn Florida law.
So if I could add to this just briefly, so there is the uniform bar exam, which is the UBE, and if you take that exam, which is what I took in Pennsylvania, I believe Nick also took that in Pennsylvania. I believe now there are 41 states a part of the UBE. So if you pass and you get a score high enough to practice in any of those UBE jurisdictions, you're essentially able to be barred in any of those states. There are the select states like Delaware, California, Florida that have their own individual bar exams that you have to take a whole separate exam for. So if you know that you want to practice in a certain state and it happens to be a UBE state, obviously with the hard work and the preparation, you can get a score high enough to kind of have the ability to be barred in any of those states. So there is a lot of opportunity there if you take the UBE.
So I want to just jump in. This is a great conversation, and I really appreciate all the questions and appreciate all of our panelists weighing in. I do want to be mindful of time though, so anybody who does need to jump off, you're absolutely free to. I know we have a few more questions in the chat. If our guests here are willing to stay on, we can certainly take them. But I wanted to make sure that folks knew that this will be recorded. This is recorded, so if you want to check back on maybe what you missed, we absolutely understand if you have to jump off. So I don't know, panelists, are you okay with just a few more questions? We'll just take a few more that we have in the chat, and then we'll wrap things up.
I'm fine
Okay,
with that.
Great.
Thank you guys so much. There's so many great questions coming in. So I don't know if any of our alums can answer this question, maybe Dean McDonald, but somebody, in addition to the question about preparing for the bar exam, asked about whether or not students will be taking the next gen bar exam by 2028. Does anybody have any insight on that?
I will attempt to answer that question. The next gen bar is coming, which is a different format than the UBE. Every state determines what bar exam they will administer. Delaware, as of now, will not be next gen in 2028, I don't believe. I'm not sure about New Jersey and Pennsylvania. There is a likelihood that those two states will have adopted by 2028. I will say this, that I'm a part of the leadership team. I attend the faculty meetings every month, and our faculty is doing all that they can now to prepare and adjust their curriculums for the next gen bar.
Great, thank you for that answer. I just learned something too. There's a couple more questions. I think they're great questions, so I'm glad that people wanted to stay on. Somebody asked about how do you go about getting an externship while you're in law school? Who wants to answer that?
I can give just the foundational requirements of the externship, and then one of the alums can jump in with their process. Externships are a great way to get practical, hands-on legal experience with a practitioner. There are several ways to do them. Our dean of externships has a plethora of already created externships. Also, if a student makes a connection with a practitioner and that practitioner says, yeah, you can work here, I will supervise you, and you can get a grade for it, then we can roll that student created opportunity into the externship program. The requirements to do an externship is that you have to have completed professional responsibility. If you are going into an area of criminal law, you will also have to have completed evidence. So essentially, externships are available to 2Ls for second year law students.
Thank you, Dean McDonald. Any of the alumni have experience with doing an externship while you're in law school?
Yes, I can kind of add to that. So I know I mentioned after my 2L year, I was a certified legal intern at the Chester County DA's office. I actually received credit for that whole summer. So I applied for the externship. The DA's office was a part of one of those programs that was accepted, I guess we could say, into the externship program. And so for the summer, I got 6 credits towards my academic course load, essentially. And then after the summer, I stayed on at the DA's office during the fall. So I was going to class Monday through Thursday and then going to court on Fridays. And I applied for the externship program again, and I believe I was getting 3 credits for that in the fall. So it is very beneficial because you get to do your externship and also or do your internship rather, and also get credit for it in lieu of actually taking a class. So it was really beneficial, in my opinion.
Great, thank you so much. The last question I think I saw in the chat, unless I missed one, was advice that you want to give to students how they can use their summer before their first year of law school. Should they think about taking a prep course, or what other things do you recommend that they do that summer before they start with us in the fall? I saw Shira shaking her head, so she has thoughts on it.
Yeah, I saw Nick unmuted, so I don't want to take his thunder.
Go ahead, Shira. Go ahead.
So I went a little bananas my summer before law school, and I think actually the law school may have required it, but the Harvard 0L program. And I took copious notes. I had like an entire notebook. I was like, I'm gonna be a law school student. And then as soon as school started and I realized that that was going to be the rest of my life for the next 3 years, I really wish that I had enjoyed those last couple of months of freedom. It really is a privilege to be able to just relax. And a lot of times that's not something that you'll find the time for when you are a law school student. It is a very intensive program. It's very rewarding, but it is certainly a lot of work. And if I could do anything to change my time before law school, it would just be to relax, spend time with my family, spend time with my now fiance, and just enjoy life and kind of, be excited about what is to come. Knowing that, for folks who haven't yet worked and this graduating law school will be kind of the first job that they step into. That is the rest of your life. The work will always be there. There's always learning to be done. When you become an attorney, you'll do what's called CLE, which is continuing legal education. So you will never stop learning. You will always be learning, but it is very rare that you will have a summer where if you have the privilege to just sit and be a couch potato, you will never have that opportunity again. And I wish that I would have taken it. I still have some couch potato energy going on, but it's, certainly I have a lot of responsibilities now and things that, had I taken the opportunity when I had it, I think I would have been a lot happier at that time.
Thank you. Nick, did you want to add something?
Yeah, so my start to law school was a little bit different. I had to go through what was called the TAFS program, which was I had to take 3 courses and then I had to get over a 2.3 GPA to get into law school. But I thought that was extremely helpful because the 3 courses that I took in that summer were the exact same 3 courses that I took in the fall. So exactly what Shira said, enjoy the summer, enjoy time with your family. But the one thing I would say is, you don't need the law school book, but if you can start looking at, maybe looking up, you'll have torts, property, legal methods 1 in your first year. I don't know what the other course is for the full time, but, maybe looking at different writing samples. I know in your first one, you're going to have to write a couple of memorandums, maybe looking at a memorandum, maybe looking at a practice problem, just familiarizing yourself with problems so that when you come to law school, your first case that you'll have to do, you won't be scared. And also, please don't be scared to get called on. It will happen. You will have to answer it. As long as you know the case, you will be fine.
Thank you so much, Nick. We're going to have you back once our TAP class ends this summer to pump them all up. Those
And I
are
don't
all the
know,
questions.
Sharif, did you have anything to add? Because otherwise, I think we'll stop there.
I kind of agree more with what Shira said. I think it was required for us to do that Harvard 0L, and I will say a lot of law school, yes, is the content that you're learning, but it's also learning how to study and how to absorb that content. And I think a lot of that is a process that you're just going to learn as you do it. It's not really something that you can really prepare for unless you have a very good idea of what works for you now. I know personally I did not. My study habits in college were completely different than my study habits in law school. It's a completely different ballgame. So, yeah, I mean, I look back on the summer before my 1L year, and if I'm being completely honest, I don't think that program was extremely beneficial to me. But that's just me being honest.
We love the insight and the advice. But I do think this is a good place to stop, not just because we're at time, but because I think it segues nicely into kind of what's next for everybody here on the call. So, and thinking about how you're preparing for the summer. In the coming weeks, you are going to get information about orientation, and so that includes some of this pre-reading materials, pre-reading assignments, both recommended and required. Mix of things, just so you do have a baseline. We will give you a supplement that shows you what cases look like and talks to you about how to outline and highlight and what a case brief looks like. So look out for that information. I certainly will help. And then another way you can spend your summer is getting ready for the dean's welcome reception. Again, as our alumni said, it's always good to kind of relax a little, have fun, and we're hoping that July 17th from 6 to 8 with the dean is going to be just that, where you can all, come together, meet one another, and just have a little bit of fun because you are going to work hard here, but it's going to be incredibly rewarding. And, you can look to all of these folks here on this call about what you have kind of ahead of you. We are so proud of them, and I'm so grateful that you were able to be with us, Shira, Sharuk, and Nick. It's really wonderful to see how much you've accomplished so far. And like I said, I can't wait to see kind of what's next for you all. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Dean McDonald. And anything anybody needs from us, please reach out to admissions or anybody here. We're always happy to help, and we look forward to seeing you at the next event. So thank you so much for joining us, and have a good night.